Hey, good morning, everybody. I hope that you're having a great Tuesday morning. We've had a little bit of, I don't want to use the word excitement because I don't think that's what this is, but unfortunate situation here in Michigan. Not too far from us, about 20 minutes away from here, a police officer was shot in the face doing a routine traffic stop. And man, is that scary. You know, it's happening all over the world, but you just never think that it's going to happen where you actually live. And it has. My children actually, or two of my children actually live in the city that this happened at. So that has kind of has our family a little on edge today. So my family has a group chat, so I just want you to know that if my phone's dinging a lot, that's why. We have some family that's out on the road, so they're kind of keeping their eyes open for this guy. The guy that shot the cop is still on the loose, so it's a pretty scary situation around here, and very scary for my girls. So, and my future son-in-law, Zach. So just keep them in your prayers as they're in that city, and keep the police officer in your prayers, and let's just find this guy and make sure that justice is served. Aside from that, we're going to keep going on with some of our coping mechanisms, and the first thing I'm going to hit is routine, routine, routine. You know, when you know exactly what's going to be happening, you can take the punches of life a little bit better than if a bunch of nonsense is happening and it's all just a big blur, and you've got this going on over here and that going on over there, and you know, it's very hard to cope with that. And the thing is, it's very hard to cope with chaos if you don't have a mental illness. So if you do, imagine that 100-fold, you guys. So I have a very strict routine. Now, I don't have specific times for when I do things or anything like that, but I do have an order of how I do my life. And you can ask my family, my morning routine is my morning routine. And when that gets jacked with, it kind of jacks with my whole day. But you know what? That's okay. We go on from there. The biggest thing is, hi, Jen, how are you? For everybody, this should be for, not just a person that's depressed or has anxiety or whatnot, but a consistent bedtime and a consistent time where you wake up is huge. And why is that? Because when you're tired, it is hard to deal with life. So if you, here it is for me, about 6 o'clock, I start winding down. We've just had dinner. It's time for me to just kind of veg out. I'm in bed 9 times out of 10 by 8 o'clock. Always, you know, it's just been that way for me. I need a good solid 8 to 9 hours of sleep. Some of you may not need that long. I do. I am not afraid to admit it. I have to have my sleep. Because if I don't, that next day is going to be a bear for not just me, but everybody else around me. And when you're tired, you want to give up. How many times have you were supposed to go do something and you're like, I'm just too tired. I don't want to do it. Well, when you have depression or anxiety, when you're tired, that makes the situation just explode in your head. So a consistent amount of sleep, bedtime, right time that you rise, keep that as consistent as you can. In order to get myself on a schedule like that, I actually took melatonin so that I could get my body to the point where it started to fall asleep at that right time. So melatonin is it's a vitamin that we naturally produce in our body, but sometimes you need a little bit of extra melatonin to kind of fall asleep. So anyways, that's how I got my body regulated. I used to be a stay up all night, sleep all day type of person, and I was missing out on life that way. So I wanted it to be turned around, and that's how I went about doing that. Like I said, in order to keep a routine, you don't have to keep a specific schedule per se. Let me just give you an example of my morning. Okay, I wake up, obviously, go to the bathroom, whatever. I then go to my computer, look through Facebook, check out what's happened throughout the night. And because I go to bed so early, a lot of things happen at night, so I miss it. So I catch up that way. Go to my friends' pages, get back to messages if I have to. And then I am a Cookie Jam addict. I love that game. So I then play that game for a while. While I'm playing that game is when I do most of my thinking. It's really funny because I could be playing that game and everybody thinks I'm just playing a game, but actually what I'm doing is thinking about, okay, I need to do this and I should say that and blah, blah, blah. So people can talk to me while I'm playing that game and I don't hear a stinking word that they're saying to me because I am in my own thoughts at that time. There's nothing wrong with that. Everybody needs to have a time in their life where or a time in their day where they're preparing for whatever they need to prepare for. So that I do that with that. Then I get up from playing the game or whatnot. My grandchildren come here to get on the bus. And so I will do the dishes while I'm waiting for them, wait for the bus, and I pick up the rest of the house. After that, it's about time where my husband is on break. We talk during his break. Then I get off of there. I come out here, get ready for the day. And then at 11 o'clock, I am talking to you people. From there on out, I have the things that I do on a regular basis. So that's just a tad bit of my routine. And like I said, if you ask my family, that routine is everything to me. And it's everything to me because without that's a part of my life that I can control, if that makes sense. My brain chemistry is off compared to somebody that doesn't have the debilitating depression and anxiety that I do. So, I can't control when that stuff will hit me. I can control my routine. If you have a child that suffers from any kind of mental illness, a routine will be huge for that child because they need to know what's next. There's that control for them as well. Okay, you're going to get up, you're going to brush your teeth, get ready for school, get on the bus. After you get out of school, you're going to come home, do your homework. After homework, it's playtime. After playtime, it's supper time. After supper time, it's bath time. Like I said, it doesn't have to have, good morning, honey. It doesn't have to be at specific times. It just has to go in a specific order. And actually, even if your child doesn't have a mental illness, it's good for any child. Because even as babies, when you get those children on a routine, they're just better behaved because they know what's going to happen next. So routine, super important. The next thing that I am going to talk about are lists. Now, I know this is going to sound silly to some people that maybe don't have a mental illness. Sorry again. But when you have things in your life that you can't control, such as depression or whatnot, the list is another thing that you can control. The list is small goals that you want to hit for the day. Now, I used to be a complete list person. I listed getting up out of bed. I listed making my bed. I listed taking my shower. I listed it all. Every single day it was on my list without fail. Even if it was the same thing, day in and day out, that list was made. You can ask my husband about that. And when I start to have moments where maybe depression is kind of creeping in, but like I said, I haven't had that big episode lately, so he'll say to me, maybe you should start making your lists. And why is that important? It's because those small goals that you hit, I mean, come on, waking up, heck yeah, you get to check that off. You woke up, you hit a goal, okay? So there you go. You've got a great start to your day. You just crossed one thing off your list already. Then, you do the dishes. Check. Those small goals will then eventually turn into big goals. It's a self-esteem thing. When we achieve something, whether it be a small goal or a big goal, when we achieve something, it makes us feel good inside. Crossing that stuff off feels good. Even the smallest of things. And it's worth it. If it's your child, sit down with your child at night and make up his or her list for the next day. Show them that you're making a list. We all make lists to go to the grocery store so that we don't forget something. We make a list of phone calls we have to make. Lists are amazing. It helps us complete our day. When I'm in a depression, even my small ones, my brain gets jumbled. I can't concentrate on anything. I'm overwhelmed, and it feels like I can't focus. I just can't deal. When I make a list, I then get active. I don't sit and wallow in, I can't think of what to do next. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. No, I look at my list. I do need to do this today. I used to make a list on every room in my house that I had to clean. And I made that list daily. Like I said, it was imperative that I picked up the entryway so I could mark it off. Got it done. So lists are a good thing. It helps you just bring your day together. It helps you hit those small goals. It helps you to be productive. And even when you don't want to be productive, I dare you to make a list and then just let it sit next to you and do nothing off that list. Do nothing. I dare you. I dare you to try it. Because I can guarantee you that something on that list will eat at you and you will get up and do it. Because it is human nature to want to cross it off. So just try it. Try it and see if that helps you get moving. But I can almost guarantee that for anybody, crossing those things off the list become a little bit more important than what you ever dreamed they would be. And it helps you to cope with life. I don't care if you're a stay-at-home mother. I don't care if you are a Fortune 500 business owner. A list is a list is a list, and they are important to everybody. Another thing that on list-wise that is super cool to do is right before bed, make a list of the 5 most important things that you want to do the following day. And when life has you down, getting up may be one of those 5 most important things to do. But Yeah, exactly, Janice. That was like me. I had four daughters, and those lists kept me going. I had to remember where I was going, when I was going, and who I was going with, or I would have the wrong kid in the wrong spot at the wrong. Sorry about that. If somebody could text Kendra, will you text Charlie and let her know that I'm doing my video right now, because she's just tried calling me, make sure that everything's okay, or Dad or Jake or whoever. Just somebody text her, please. But now I forgot where I was at. The list. Yeah, I would have one daughter where she wasn't supposed to be, and another daughter, I'd probably forget her at school. You know, list most people. Sorry. Could somebody let her know? So the list of the 5 most important things is something I learned. I used to do Mary Kay makeup, and I learned that while I was doing training, while I was selling that, and it really did work. My business became booming because of those 5 most important things to do. So that way I didn't have to write down maybe the things that, you know, if I didn't quite get to it that day, it was okay. But 5 most important things to do had to get done. So try that with your child as well. It could be on the 5 most important things, doing homework, reading a book, anything. You know, anybody can benefit from the 5 most important things. So why are those 2 things important? You having a routine, making lists, organizes your brain. When you have a mental illness, your brain isn't organized like everybody else's. It gets jumbled very, very easily. And my Lord, with the things that are happening in this world, they can get pretty darn jumbled. So when you have these things sitting, bye Kendra, give puppies hugs and kisses for me. When you have these things sitting in front of you, it gives you the control to continue on with life. It helps unjumble the mind. Just because we don't think like a good portion of the people, it doesn't mean we're crazy. It just means that we are wired a little differently. Sometimes we feel more than the average person does. We take in more than the average person does. If there's chaos outside your door, there's going to be chaos inside your door. And it's the same way with our brains. If there's chaos out in your life, your brain is going to be full of chaos. So keeping the routine and the lists just help you cope with every day. You don't have to get all crazy with them, although like I said, there were times where I wrote down everything I had to do, and I am talking everything. There were times where I had to ask my husband what we were supposed to be doing so that I could write it down. There were times when I relied on my daughters to remind me what was going on so that I could write it down. It's not a bad thing. It just means that we need a little bit of help to organize and wire our brain. We're not stupid. And please, I hope that if you're watching this and you are not a sufferer of any type of mental illness or know of anybody, you just happen to hop on this video for some reason, I don't want you to think that I'm trying to say that we're stupid, because that is, my God, that is not what I'm saying at all. I'm just saying that we're wired different and we need a little bit of help every now and again. So, exactly, Tom, the structure is critical. Think about this. When a child is in school, there is structure to that day. And why is that? Because if they didn't have that structure, a child would never be able to learn. Our brains are the same way. You know, there are people that can deal with the chaos. I cannot. Because the second there is chaos around me, my brain is fried. Because I try to listen to this person over here and that person over there, and then I try to think for myself, and it's like, what the heck was I just trying to figure out right there? I cannot function in chaos. So when there is chaos happening, and it could be the simplest of things that's chaotic to me. My two youngest daughters just recently moved into an apartment together, and to me that was chaos. Not anything that they were doing. That wasn't what was chaotic. It was a change in my home. So that chaos messed with my brain for a little bit. My anxiety kind of ticked up there, and I needed to get back to doing my list and what I needed to do next, and my routine became very, very important at that point, because had I not had my routine, I would not have made it through the day. So although I don't have to write down my routine anymore, because I mean, my Lord, I live that routine religiously, it was super important for me to do that at the beginning. And if you're at the beginning stages of depression, or if you just found out that you have a mental illness of any sort, you know what? Start that routine. Write it down, what to do next. Don't write the times unless your personality or whatever shows, you do have to write those times down. But for the most part, you don't have to have 9 o'clock, I need to get up, or whatever, Oh, and Janice, I cannot function in chaos whatsoever. My sister, who I love with all my heart, she at times lives in a chaotic environment, and I give her mad props, because I just cannot. And I watch my daughter Terry. She has 4 children, and I don't know how I lived the way we did, because her life looks chaotic to me. She's coming, she's going, she's this, she's that. I mean, I'm sure she writes down the list, and her routine. But, the chaos is, I'm done for. I really am. When the election was going on, and I bet if you were to go back through my timeline, you would see that got to me too. I'm very opinionated, and when I feel something, everybody knows about it, because I usually don't keep that to myself. But it began to get to me, and just recently I decided I had to take a step back from that, because it was so stinking chaotic. So I did. I just kind of, got to turn the news off a little bit. I was watching news 24/7. It had to go. The chaos from that was killing me, When 9/11 happened, that chaos, which didn't affect me personally, other than my husband was a firefighter. So, I mean, it sort of did, but the chaos from that day sent me into a depression. When my father died, I'm sure there are going to be many videos that I talk about my father. He was my very best friend. And I miss him more than words could ever say. But I lost who I was for a very long time, until I started getting back into my coping methods again. And then life decided to move on for me as well. But the things that I said yesterday, the journal, and stuff like that, those are simple things. The routine and the list, simple things, but when the simple things work, it's the KISS analogy. Keep it simple, stupid. And that's what we need to do, whether we live in chaos or not. Keeping it simple for our brains helps anybody that is dealing with any type of mental illness. So remember that if you are the one that's suffering, or if you have a child or love somebody that is suffering. Reaching small goals. It's imperative. It's imperative to anybody that suffers. The consistency, imperative. We may be wired differently, but we are just as amazing as everybody else. And the stigma around us is for the longest time, that's why I kept my feelings about certain things quiet. And together we can break this. So by coping every day, we together can show the world that mental illness doesn't stop anybody. It keeps us going. And we have a lot to offer. And we have a lot to love. And that's just who we are and how we are. So keep it simple, stupid. And life will start to get a little bit easier every day. You may be at the beginning of your journey with whatever you have, but I can promise you, day by day, minute by minute, breath by breath, you got this. You've got this, and you're not alone. We're all here to help. I love you guys. I hope that you have an amazing day. Say a prayer for that police officer I spoke about at the beginning of this, and his family. I'm sure they're pretty scared. And let's hope that they catch this guy. So, like I said, amazing day, guys. And don't you dare ever forget that your story isn't over.